Code is Law titled the American philosopher, lawyer, and activist Lawrence Lessig his 2000 Harvard Magazine article on the power and threat of the cyberspace and the code that defines it, that functions as its rules and regulations. Released on January 1st, on the brink of a new millennia, it was meant to be a guide into the future, and yet Lessig had no idea of the things to come. Let's talk about smart contracts. I'm Daniel, a retired Meta software engineer, and this is my channel, Gainfully Unemployed, where I talk about personal finance and investing from a technical and nerdy perspective. Smart contracts are self-enforcing rule set written in computer code and executed on the blockchain. Traditional contracts and agreements typically need a third-party enforcer, like the judicial system, to resolve conflicts and tardiness between contract parties. Like other blockchain technologies, smart contracts, however, do not need any third parties, neither private enterprises nor government entities, to enforce them. The blockchain does. We've previously talked about how the blockchain executes transactions like the send to transaction to transfer coins from one account to another. Strictly speaking, validators and miners execute these transactions by following specific instructions that are specified in the blockchain protocol and hard-coded in the blockchain client. These transactions fundamentally are computer code that, in an abstract sense, is executed on the blockchain. But what if you could upload your own custom code to the blockchain and have the blockchain execute that? This is exactly what you can do on Ethereum and other blockchains that support smart contracts. Smart contracts are code that can be written by anyone, uploaded and published to the blockchain, and can then be called by other accounts. Smart contracts are code, and on the blockchain, code is law. Once a smart contract is published to the blockchain, it will do exactly as specified in its programming. Just like other transactions, it can't be changed or altered down the line. This is different from how traditional computer systems work. Take the GameStop Robinhood debacle from early 2021 as an example. In early 2021, Robinhood suspended the ability to buy additional shares of GME through its platform after a meme stock rally caused the price to rise sharply. Robinhood explained their move with various technical and financial reasons and details. Their users participating in this meme rally, however, felt cheated, betrayed, and backstabbed irregardless. They felt like Robinhood changed the rules out from under their feet.
So, what exactly are smart contracts?
Smart contracts essentially are small computer programs that are written by a programmer and then deployed and executed on a blockchain like the Ethereum blockchain. On the Ethereum blockchain, smart contracts are written for and executed by what is called the EVM, the Ethereum Virtual Machine. The EVM is a virtual computer system with a well-defined instruction set that can be programmed like any other computer system. Typically, computer programs for the EVM are written in high-level computer languages and then compiled down to EVM bytecode before being deployed to the blockchain. Solidity, a flavor of JavaScript, and Viper, a flavor of Python, are popular examples. Smart contracts themselves function like any other account on the blockchain. Like your and my wallet, they can have balances, invoke transactions, send and receive tokens, and even call functions on other smart contracts. The main difference between a smart contract account and a wallet account is that smart contract accounts are not associated with a public-private key pair, and instead are exclusively controlled by their code executing on the blockchain. In addition, smart contracts can expose functions that are callable by other accounts, including other smart contracts.
I have no clue what that means.
Let's look at an example. Let's say we want to create a blockchain-based crowdfunding platform. We'll call it Blockstarter. First, we would have to create a smart contract to represent crowdfunding projects. Each crowdfunding project has an owner, a funding goal, a funding target date, and supporters that fund the project. When an instance of the crowdfunding smart contract is created, the owner, the funding goal, and the funding target date are provided. Supporters can then send tokens to the crowdfunding smart contract to support a project. The tokens get locked up in the contract until either the funding target date or the funding goal are reached. Meaning, neither the project owner nor the project supporters can access these tokens until either of these milestones have been achieved. Once the funding goal is reached, the smart contract will allow the owner to withdraw the funds. The owner can use a special purpose function on the smart contract to do so. This function was previously defined on the smart contract by a programmer and allows the owner and only the owner to withdraw tokens from the smart contract after and only after the funding goal was reached before the target funding date. If the funding goal isn't reached before the deadline, then the funding of the project fails and the project owner will be unable to withdraw the funds. The programming of the smart contract would reject any attempts to do so. Instead, if the funding of the project fails, then the smart contract would allow the supporters to reclaim their tokens. Once again, by calling a special purpose function on the smart contract. The smart contract, and by extension the blockchain, will enforce these rules. And since no person or organization is in control of these rules, only the smart contract's code that was locked in when the contract was published, it's impossible to change these rules in the middle of a fundraiser. Like with any other computer, compute resources on the EVM are not free. We briefly touched on gas before in a previous video in the context of block size limits. On the Ethereum blockchain, gas is a measure of transaction cost. Every instruction on the EVM has a specific gas cost associated with it, similar how instructions on a traditional CPU cost clock cycles. Ergo, gas is a measure of how complex and resource-intensive a transaction on the Ethereum blockchain is. The issuer of a transaction will have to pay the transaction's full gas cost for it to execute and finalize on the blockchain. A simple transfer transaction costs 21,000 gas. The cost of a more complex transaction, like creating a smart contract or executing a function on one, depend on the complexity of the underlying code being executed, as well as the amount of memory required, and can easily be in the millions of gas. Gas itself is denominated and paid for in gwei, or a billionth of an ether. Since transaction issuers bid on the price of gas to compete for inclusion in the next block, gas prices can heavily fluctuate from day to day, depending on how competitive block and transaction space is. As of recording of this video in April 2022, the gas price is at roughly 50 gwei per gas. A simple transfer transaction would cost 21,000 gas times 50 gwei, equaling 1,050,000 gwei, or roughly $3.15 at the current Ether price. And yes, the execution of a complex transaction on the Ethereum blockchain can easily cost thousands of dollars in gas. To not bankrupt your account while executing an unexpectedly expensive transaction, as well as a clever solution to the halting problem, the issuer of a transaction is required to specify an upper limit of how much gas they are willing to spend. Should a transaction prematurely run out of gas, it will get rolled back and not committed, meaning its effects won't take place.
Okay, so smart contracts are a computer program on an incredibly slow and expensive virtual machine. Who would need that?
Smart contracts inherit all the benefits that blockchains generally provide. A system that allows for trustless transactions between parties without the need for intermediaries. But instead of just being simple transfer transactions, anything that can be modeled on the blockchain can now be transacted. Most importantly, fungible and non-fungible tokens. One of the incredible superpowers of Ethereum and other smart contract blockchains is that they can host other cryptocurrencies. Instead of bootstrapping an entirely new cryptocurrency with its own independent blockchain and miner and validator network, cryptocurrencies can be implemented in the form of smart contracts on other blockchains. Ethereum is hosting hundreds, if not thousands, of cryptocurrencies and other fungible tokens, like the Basic Attention Token, BAT, used in the Brave browser, the Tether stablecoin, USDT, and even the Shiba Inu meme coin, SHIB. All of them are implemented as smart contracts on the Ethereum blockchain. This approach is so popular that the Ethereum community agreed on the ERC20 token standard, a kind of template to create new fungible tokens on the Ethereum blockchain. To transact with these tokens, instead of calling Ethereum standard transfer transaction, you call the tokens smart contracts transfer transaction. They also have their own system for minting new tokens, as well as for destroying them if they are no longer required, burning them. All of this implemented in the form of smart contracts.
Wait. Fungible what?
Yeah. Fungibility means that an instance of a thing is interchangeable with any other instance of that same thing. Consider this $100 bill. If I gave it to you, you wouldn't be like, oh, excuse me, sir, I would rather have this other $100 bill here instead. That would be weird. Or this gold bar. Well, it's a cereal bar. But if it was a gold bar, then it would be exactly like any other gold bar of the same weight. They are, for all practical purposes, equivalent. And tasty too. That is what fungible means, that one instance of a thing is interchangeable with any other instance of that same thing. For cryptocurrency tokens, this means that you can generally keep track of how many you have with a simple number, a balance. If you own 1 million USDT, congratulations to you, then there's a single number in the Tether smart contract that says that your wallet holds 1 million USDT. You do not have 1 million individual Tether things in your wallet, at least not for fungible tokens. Non-fungible tokens, however, are tokens that are not exchangeable for any other instance of the same token. Every instance is unique in some way. If fungible tokens are like dollar bills or gold bars, then non-fungible tokens are like houses.
You wouldn't just trade yours for any other house.
And unlike fungible tokens, for non-fungible tokens, there's actually a unique ID stored with your account for every instance of the token that you own. If you own multiple Bored Apes, again, congratulations to you, then you have multiple individual Bored Ape things in your wallet. Each of them has their own unique set of properties. This enables smart contracts to abstractly model ownership of unique tokens. These tokens can represent physical goods or objects,
Like a house.
or digital objects or assets like digital art or virtual items. For all of the history of the internet, digital ownership was something of a muddy concept. The problem is that on a digital computer, it is possible to create perfect copies that are indistinguishable from each other. All digital assets are hyper-fungible and replicable by nature. But even solutions like DRM or digital rights management haven't solved this problem entirely. Traditional physical media has a property that even digital media with DRM does not. It's collectible. Millions of people have collections of original artwork, first edition comic books, movies, action figures, LPs, sitting on their shelves at home. And while copies can also be made of physical goods, they wouldn't be the same as these originals. At least an experienced observer would easily be able to tell the difference between the original and the copy. Something that was impossible with digital goods so far. With blockchain, smart contracts, and NFTs, digital goods can now have true ownership and true uniqueness. And not just ownership like Amazon having a record of you having paid for a digital copy of your favorite movie that you cannot lend out, resell, or put on a shelf, but an actual record of ownership that is independent from any intermediary that you are free to do with whatever you like. You can lend it out, you can sell it, you can collateralize it for a loan, you can even burn and destroy it if you really wanted. You truly have control over it, just like fungible cryptocurrency tokens allow you to retain full control over your monetary assets. In this video, we have learned about smart contracts as well as fungible and non-fungible tokens, or NFTs. We learned about how smart contracts are computer programs that are executed on the blockchain that can implement rule systems that are enforced by the blockchain. We also learned how smart contracts can be used to implement hosted cryptocurrencies and fungible tokens, as well as how they can be used to implement non-fungible tokens, NFTs, and the concept of digital asset ownership. Next time, we will go into more of a deep dive into the technical side of NFTs, how they are implemented, and what they can and cannot do. If you would like to not miss that, please make sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the little bell icon to get notified as soon as I upload new videos. If you found this video entertaining or useful, please leave a like. Unlike NFTs, they cost you nothing. And if you have any more questions or feedback to give, please use the comment section below. Thank you for watching. I'm Daniel, and this is my channel, Gainfully Unemployed.